Hi, I'm Jennifer with Moonshine and Suppertime. Thanks for coming to my cooking class. Today, I have partnered with New Hotel Collection to bring you a cooking class from their new hotel, Historic Central Hotel, right here in downtown Sevierville, Tennessee, my hometown. I've brought in my friends and we are ready to get cooking, so grab the moonshine. Let's go. Hey guys, I'm so glad you're here. Let's get started with a cocktail.
All right.
Okay. I'll whip it up for you, but honestly, the best part of it is you gotta deck out the glass, okay? So, because it's really just apple pie moonshine and top it off with champagne. Super simple, anybody can do this. But I have melted like the refrigerator caramel in the microwave, the kind you get in the grocery store container. And just melt that in the microwave a little bit. And bring your glass. Brown sugar. You don't have to measure, you don't have to be exact. With cinnamon. And a little bit of the granular white sugar, because it sparkles real good. Just kind of mix it around. And y'all, in cooking class, you gotta use your hands. Like, you gotta get messy. Okay, dip that glass in it. Because that's the best part. Okay? Okay, so I'm just gonna not measure because that's not my style when it comes to a drink. We're just gonna pour it in. Kind of make it all look a little bit even. And then top it off. Woo. Get some bubbly, and you could also. Okay, cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, so let's see. We're gonna get started with the crust. Have y'all made homemade crust?
No.
Okay. Once you go homemade crust, you will not go back. All right. So your butter has been frozen. I froze it for just a couple hours. Honestly, it just makes it easier to work with, and to get those little pockets of butter in your crust. Let's see. I'm gonna kind of rearrange for a second. Okay, so y'all should have all the same stuff that I have. All the tools. And we're going to start with the box grater for the butter. Actually, let's go ahead and go in with our flour first. So, I also gave you all the copy of all the recipes that we're using today. Best thing to do with cooking class style is just kind of help yourself. So just come over, take a scoop. You're going to do 1.5 cups of flour, and this is just all-purpose flour. I can get you a 1/2 cup scoop too, or you can eyeball it like me. Go for it. So dig in, get your flour, and then we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of sugar. I like a sweet crust. We're kind of going grandma style, like old school Severe County here. We're just gonna scoop it straight from the tubs. And then while you're down there, take a pinch of that salt. And that's the salt that I carry online. It is so good. This one's for baking. It is called Friends Forever. And it has honey, granular honey mixed in with the salt. So you get just, with any baking, you get that little hint of sweet and salty together. Okay, so we'll just do like a pinch of that right in. And on top, just a pinch. You know, like I used to really be intimidated when a recipe would say like a pinch of this or a scant of that. And I'm like, okay, come on. Like, what do you mean here? You know what? It doesn't really matter. Okay. There's your shortening. And then y'all do a 1/2 cup of shortening too. She'll just pass that down to you.
Okay.
Those whole things I have.
Yeah. So you did 1.5, right?
1.5 teaspoonfuls.
Yep. Okay. egg into the little dish. Okay, so when you have your shortening in, you're gonna do a half a stick of butter. And you can leave the stick whole, because it'll kind of give you something to hold on to. And it's frozen, so it's gonna grate really easily with the box grater. So just grate in on the largest one, half a stick. I find this way easier too, using the grater than like cutting it up. It just mixes in so well. This is the cheapest kitchen tool, and I probably get the most use out of it. I mean, literally like $3, under $5 you can find them, and I use it all the time. Okay, so remember, just a half a stick. And then we'll use a little bit more of that butter you have left over in the pie later on. Okay, so pastry cutter, pastry blender, pastry tool. Just work it in, work that shortening and butter into your flour mixture. Just kind of, I always turn my bowl, but you can like, I don't know, just turn the blender. You know, and this is another thing old cookbooks would tell you, mix it in until it's like pea-shaped. And I'm thinking, okay, mine never looks pea-shaped. It just looks really good. You just gotta kind of get to know, know the feel and what it's supposed to look like. Every so often, if it's sticking to your blender, you can just kind of scrape it off the sides. So isn't this kitchen gorgeous?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So pretty.
Perfect for cooking class, for sure. All right, I feel like mine is kind of where we need to be, so y'all can see. Just take a fork and kind of gently beat that egg, and then we're not going to pour all of it in. I know you did, and it's fine. We're going to save about half of it to brush the top of our crust when we're done. But just kind of pour about most of it. Really about all mine went in, but save a little bit off if you can. And then we'll add in a splash of moonshine. Okay. So you can eyeball a tablespoon of that. Packs the jar, right? Whether it's for cooking or drinking.
Yeah.
And then we'll also need cold water. Just a little splash. You're thinking like a tablespoon.
I don't know what it is. Like this.
Okay. All right, so we got the water. Now we just add 3 tablespoons of water directly into your crust. Cold water, preferred, like ice cold water. All right, take that spoon and just stir it till it all comes together. If it's a little crumbly, you can add just a little bit more, 1 more spoonful of water. I love these silicone baking mats for rolling out dough.
Yeah, they're great.
They're great for, you can bake directly on them. So I bake biscuits on them.
Oh, really?
You can bake cookies on them.
Cool.
They have the little lines on the
Ah.
other side for macaroons, or if you're trying to get like an exact circle.
That's awesome.
Yeah. They're in my Amazon store.
Sweet.
So but they're wonderful. And then I just use them at home because it's a quick cleanup.
Yeah.
You know, and they're dishwasher safe.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Okay. That dough right on the flour. And then save your bowl actually, because we'll just mix our apples right in that same bowl. So you're just going to kind of knead it a couple times for it to pick up the flour that it needs to get to that right texture. Okay? It didn't take mine no time. Like 2 or 3 little folds. When you have that, take about 1/3 off for your top crust and set it aside, and we'll just work with your bottom crust from here. So when you have a good floured surface, because it will stick, just get to rolling. And you can go from a couple different angles. And you don't have to apply too much pressure. And honestly, instead of me telling you to roll it to an 1/8 of an inch, because who knows what an 1/8 of an inch is after you've had a moonshine cocktail, roll it out to about this size, a little larger than your pie pan. Okay, and then it's perfect. Because you want your base crust to be a little thick anyways. When you feel like you can go cut around it with like about 1/2 inch or so, that's perfect. So I just cut mine to give a nice edge. And then take your scraps that you cut away. Okay, here comes the hard part. Who's ready?
Flipping it.
I'm just praying like, ooh, is it sticking to my board? And if it is, we'll make it work anyways. Okay, so you're going to wrap it around your rolling pin. Okay. So you're basically going to roll your rolling pin up in your dough.
That seems a little risky.
And then just gently kind of unroll it in the pan. And mine even ripped a little. That's fine. No stress. A little bit of that. So I'm just going to leave mine just like that and kind of set it aside. And leave that dough set aside. Just kind of make a little disc out of it with whatever you have left, because that's going to be your top crust. Looks good. Hey, y'all did step 1. You made it. You made the bottom crust. Awesome. Okay, guys, it's time to peel apples. These peelers are awesome. You're going to use the wide side, and we're just going to peel all of our skins off. You can just make yourself a little peel pile. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I've never used one of these before.
So how do y'all peel?
I don't peel.
Like potatoes?
I just use them.
I just
and
buy
not-
things
Do
at
you?
Kroger's.
You buy it already peeled?
No, I buy the pie already made.
Yeah, not anymore. Okay. Well, you're gonna peel 5 apples, so this is like the best practice for you. Okay, I snagged some of these apples at the Apple Barn here locally. They have so many good apples. And my kids ate ice cream, so it was a win-win for everybody. As you do this, I do each apple individually. Like, I don't peel them all and let them all sit there because they will oxidize and turn brown a little bit. So I just kind of go one at a time. As soon as you get that one peeled, you'll just want to cut it and kind of get the core out. Just large, big slices is fine. And drop them right in your bowl. I'm not real big on doing tons of dishes, so if I can get by with doing everything in one bowl, I'm totally in. Okay, after you did that first apple, you'll want to do lemon juice. Lemon juice is going to keep them looking good. So I do about 1/2 lemon to get it started, and then as I add apples, I add the rest of my lemon. Okay, so let's doctor up our apples. And then we'll put them in our crust, then we'll finish our top and we'll be good to go. Okay, so for the apple filling, we are going to add a half a cup of brown sugar and then all the seasonings. So there's not much involved with that. Where's my half a cup? Right here. I'm just gonna scoop that. Pat it in there, get it really full. You always pack your brown sugar. Let me go with that. Cinnamon, a teaspoon. And then you can use apple pie spice. You can buy it at the store, in a canister or whatever. It has everything already mixed together for you. So if you're looking for an easy step, do it. To me, it just goes so quickly. I'm better off if I have all the ingredients at home. So I just do a 1/4 teaspoon of allspice, a 1/4 of nutmeg, and ginger. Okay. So you do those and we'll just pass it on. We also need to add 3 tablespoons of flour. And then we'll just set that aside. Actually, go ahead and add a splash of moonshine to that too.
Just why not?
Because why not? I love using the apple pie moonshine because it just enhances those flavors that you're already working with. You could add like a caramel or a butterscotch flavor too. That would be really good.
So I've seen you've had a few recipes that have moonshine or an alcohol in it. So is it usually just to intensify the flavor? Is there something else that alcohol does for it? I saw your zucchini, your chocolate zucchini. What kind of
Zucchini cake.
Yes.
I think I used like a chocolate or a Kahlua kind of base.
Was it coffee?
Coffee? Yeah, probably. Because I normally, I'll use a Kahlua in that, or it just enhances the flavor you're already working with.
Okay.
And if you're baking with it, that or heating it in any way, alcohol is really going to come out and just leave you with a little bit of that. What is that? That little bit of extra that leaves people wondering, I think. Okay, so when you've got that mixed in, you're just going to leave that there. We're going to do this top crust. Actually, you can even dump it in your pie crust. About this point, I would preheat my oven to 400 degrees. We're going to just cut a few pats of butter and layer that right on top. So just roll it out like you did before. I kind of go with more of like an oblong shape because you're going to think you need to cover the full diameter of your pie. And you're going to need at least 6 strips of crust. Now the crust is my favorite part of any pie. I could just have pie crust covered in butter. That would be like in good shape.
When I was younger, my mom made homemade pies all the time. And she would take the excess crust and sprinkle butter and cinnamon and sugar on there and make it for me.
Oh.
Yeah, that was my favorite snack. I loved it.
So when I get it rolled out, I just kind of cut away my excess that most likely I won't even need to give me pretty good edges. You can use a fancy pie cutter or a pizza roller. I like the control of a knife.
You said 6.
You need at least 6. If you can get 8, you're in good shape. Looks great. You got it going on, girl. She's a pro.
It's a sickness, honestly.
That perfectionism rising up. Yeah. I have that too, but I'll tell you, I think the more that I do stuff like this, the more I lose that out the window.
Yeah.
Like it really does help because you can see like it looks like such a hot mess and you're in the middle of it and then your end result looks great no matter what a mess it was in the middle. So All right, so I pulled the middle out of my rectangle because that's going to be like my center. And I leave another middle one for my other direction, but I lay all one way first. So if you can get,
Are they supposed to be like an inch wide?
yeah, an inch-ish. Remember, we're letting go of perfectionism. You can buy the big mats, the pastry mats, that actually have the measurements for you. You can roll out on those mats, and then every single piece is exactly the same size. So that egg wash that you had left, I'm gonna just add a little bit of water to it. I'm just gonna pour this together. I didn't have much. I'm gonna add a little water to the egg wash. And that's what you'll brush on top to give it that. I did add a little water. We'll just stir it around.
Like mine looks different.
It just thins it down a little and it brushes on real nicely, and that creates that golden brown, crispy, beautiful top. So take your next longest piece and you're just going to go like over, think over, under. And honestly, so you'll just go alternating, obviously, the next one. And if your piece of crust breaks, you just kind of squish it back together and it'll bake into one another just fine. So you're going to want to do at least like 3 each direction. If you have more, you can do more. Okay, so if you need to trim, you can use these scissors to kind of trim the edges, leaving a little because you're going to want to work with that edge still, the crust. So feel on the gloves. And then once you get it to that point, I would you can totally just roll, if you have the undercrust left over, roll it over and kind of pinch it off, creating like a sealed edge. Then if you want to get really fancy, you can do some of the pinch techniques to give that crippling around this side.
No, I will.
And the best way to do it is like 2 fingers on one hand and 1 on the other, and just so it creates the ripple. So you will bake this at 400 degrees, and we'll write this on your box, okay? So when you get home, you'll be like, oh, I forget. 400 degrees. I would foil my edges for half the time, for about 20 minutes, remove the foil, and bake 20 more minutes. So it's about a 40-minute bake time. Okay, that egg wash, and I'll give you this brush, you're just going to kind of baste it on all your crust. Doesn't matter if it gets on the apples a little bit.
Somebody's got to go home with a good pie for your husband.
And then lastly, add sugar, like a lot of sugar.
Yes.
That's my husband's favorite part. He says you have to sugar that crust,
I love the sugar.
especially the edges. So I do like extra sugar. Okay, you're ready to go in the oven. Looks good, girls. You did it. Y'all have great pie to take home. So once you bake, it'll look like this.
All your hard work will not be able to be seen.
No.
Yes, it will.
So we will. We'll write that on your box. It's more like a take and bake pie class because it does take 40 minutes to bake. But you'll bake that off at 400, and then I just let mine come to like a pretty good, like let it sit on the counter about an hour, because if you serve it right away, it's gonna be kind of runny, but it kind of solidifies in that hour's time, and then serve it up with ice cream or something. Wonderful. All right, guys. So thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks.
It was so fun.
Here, one more cheers before we
more.
go.
Cheers, ladies.
Hey, I hope you all enjoyed the class today, and a big thank you to New Hotel Collection for letting me take over one of their kitchens in the newly renovated Central Hotel in downtown Sevierville, Tennessee. For the recipe, go to New Hotel Collection website and my Instagram page, Moonshine and Suppertime, and come cook with us. Plan your visit.